Hi, friends. We are entering the home stretch for our arrival point into the 7th year of Journey U. And so I just wanted to arm you and equip you with some talking points and some and maybe even just some inspiration to make sure that we're reaching out to the people that are in our sphere of influence, because we are in the home stretch. The deposits are due at the end of July 31st. So yes, we take students right up until about September 23rd. After that point, we don't, but the most successful students are the ones who really were able to hit the ground running, doing their summer reading in advance. And so they were able to come in full force in the start of the school year. So wanted to give you some things to think about. So several years ago, I was reading The Eighth Habit by one of my favorite writers from back in the day, Stephen Covey, and he said this about cultivating integrity in our whole person self. He said, "For the body, assume you've had a heart attack. Now live accordingly." He said, "For the mind, assume the half-life of your profession is 2 years. Now prepare accordingly." He said, "For the heart, assume everything you say about another person, they can overhear you. Now speak accordingly." And then he said, "For the spirit, assume you have a one-on-one visit with your creator every quarter. Now live accordingly." And I love those kinds of paradigms because they kind of pose the what if thing, and it kind of gets us thinking imaginatively about how would I live my life if, how would I respond if such and such. And I was thinking about, I'm going to come back to this at the end. I was thinking about recently, the disciples had 3 years with Yeshua, and they didn't know that year 3 was year 3. They didn't know that year 3 was the last year. They didn't know that that third year was going to be their final time walking with Jesus. I mean, I wonder how many of them, how many of the 12, how many of the 70, how many of the 500 wish they had stuck it out. Wish they had kept going. Wish they had taken advantage of the opportunity that they had while they had Jesus walking around. Food for thought. It's going to come back at the end. So wanted to share with you, again, just some talking points. Do you remember the board game when we were kids called Chutes and Ladders? Do you remember this game? You could take steps along the board game just like any other board game, right? But there were certain spots, if you landed on certain points in the board game, that you would ladder up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rungs to a place that gets you much closer to your destination, to the goal, to the end of the game, than if you had taken the long route. And I was thinking about this recently with regards to Journey U. Isn't that Journey U? Journey U is an acceleration. What might take somebody 10, 20, 30 years to get equipped in and prepared in, Journey U, because of our concentrated nature, because of the immersion of what people get from speakers, extended times of worship, the books, all the revival groups, the community, the activations, they get that in 3 years, and so it becomes a Chutes and Ladders experience. It becomes a ladders experience, okay, that propels them that much faster. So as you're talking to people about what Journey U is and what it can afford them, because honestly, at the end of the day, people still want to know, like, what do I get out of this? And it's important to know you get an acceleration. You get to a spot faster than you would have gotten without this. And and what would have taken you longer is now going to take you much less time. So a couple highlights on the year. First of all, Steve Backlund. My gosh, amazing. Mid-October, Steve is going to be with us, and he's going to be with us for our Kalahari retreat. All of the students last year, person for person, all said it was amazing to have our annual retreat at the start of the year at the Kalahari Water Resort. From relaxation, extended revival group time, the worship, the speakers, the relaxation, the getting away, and just being able to kind of think about what do I want to get out of this year. It was an exceptional time, literally person for person. Said it was so amazing, and we've got Steve coming for that weekend. And he's going to be with us for the school as well, but he's coming. He's actually also going to be here, and we're going to, on the heels of we're going to launch a 40-day positivity fast and negativity feast. Hallelujah. So that as we go into the holiday season, yes, I know we would normally do this in February, But I felt with Steve being here that it was going to be better to have that positivity, negativity fast as we head into the holiday season, that we come into that season with a really clear mind and before the Lord, and really just reframed mindsets. Abby Stoomval, one of the people I am most excited about, and my gosh, if you knew what I did to hound this this PA, this personal assistant, to make sure that we got Abby this year, you'd be amazed, and you would definitely want to show up for this. Abby carries two core words. I mean, I'm sure she carries a lot of words, but there are two that I've heard her speak in the last couple of years that have been just awesome. One is on encountering the love of God. She's this huge proponent that so much of our issues, so much of our lives, so much of our reframing and transformation has to happen from the center of an encounter with the love of God, with the love of the Father. And she carries that. She also carries one, I'm hoping she gets time to do while she's here, on not living led by your emotions, that your emotions are a great servant, terrible master. And so she really carries that quite well. We got David Hogan. She's actually the week after David comes. David's coming at the end of October. David is described by Don Wallabaugh as the most intense man he's ever met. It's going to be out of control, and I can't actually overstate. Considering this guy in his ministry have seen over 900 people raised from the dead. Mic drop. That's going to be an incredible time. So we want to be a part of that. Emily Galloway is going to be here after the women's conference in November, so she's going to be sticking around. We know Emily carries prophetic evangelism and social justice, and we're empowering women this year. Hello. So it's going to be an awesome time to have her. Sozo. We're actually ramping up our approach to Sozo this year, where we would normally pocket a Sozo training weekend in April or something later in the year. We actually spoke with Lori. We're going to take the Sozo training and we're going to put it right inside a Sunday, Monday combination for the school. So all of the students across the board are going to get a Sozo training. One of the things I found this last year is I thought, my gosh, as I was going through the training again, I thought, oh, these are just good discipleship principles. So it really felt like if we're going to really be training leaders who are going to raise up other disciples, let's get this training where they can't possibly miss the opportunity to glean from these things and actually use them in how they lead others to Jesus and encounters with him and just getting more wholeness. So we're pocketing a Sozo training right inside a weekend in December. So it's going to be a Sunday, Monday set of class days. And to boot, Lori is going to teach her word on shifting atmospheres and intercession. I've already listened to it. It's really, really good stuff. And then Fivefold Ministry. We have our newly installed Fivefold Ministry team, which will only grow over time. But we'll have those in full action this year. That's going to be awesome. Ultimately, this is really about encounters with his love. And so I've actually been working on the curriculum to reframe things to allow more time for corporate worship, corporate prayer, more soaking sessions, more activations with his presence, and really just encountering the love of God, encountering who he is, because those we found over the last 6 years were the most transformative experiences for students. And then finally, okay, so here's where I wanted to land with where I started, right? The what if. And one of the things that I've been considering lately is, like I mentioned earlier, the disciples didn't know when their 3 years were up. They didn't even know that it was only going to be 3 years. It's not like Jesus said at the beginning, here's your schedule, and in 3 years I'm going to the cross, so let's make sure we get it all in before then. He just left everything very organic, very relational, your life is a vapor. And what does it say in James about you fool, you say we're going to go here for a year and we're going to do business and we're going to make money and we'll live, eat, and be merry. I'm paraphrasing, but he said you don't know what your life is going to be like a year from now. You have no idea. And so there's the wisdom of that is, okay, we need to be nimble enough to grasp the opportunities that are right in front of us. So here's my what if question for you. We're going into year 7 of the school. Very excited. What if this was the last year of the school? What if this was the last year of the school? How would that motivate you, given what you just saw in terms of everybody that we're going to have here, all of the experiences we're going to have, knowing this is going to be overhauled just like it has been the last year? There's no doubt in my mind this is going to be the best year of the school. What if this was the last opportunity for anyone to do Journey U? Who would you want to make sure got in the door?